Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Actually, we start off at this page, so my apologies. Oh, look at that! Now my subscriptions run out. Get off the goddamn site, you deadbeat! No, look at that. They still like me. Oh, phew. That was close. Anyway. Good morning, everyone. Interesting how, remember we had that breadth reading the other day there about 2 or 3 days ago where everything was just insanely bullish. How quickly that picture has changed, eh? So, for TRI members who are following this, if you ever see both of these heavily embedded one side or the other, get ready. So all hell's going to break loose. So we got a little bit of a fast break there. I guess that was 2 days ago on the close. Yesterday, of course, was the big meltdown day. And I get the impression today, if anything, this is a classic, what they call dead cat bounce. So I see tons and tons of stocks all green, but they're up like 2 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents. Now, really not a hell of a lot going on. And I think, as I've told you here recently, I think we're basically tempering our enthusiasm on the long side of the market. And we're even entertaining some interesting short ideas here of late, which I suppose we can talk to you in a bit. So, with that said, let's head on over to our little chart deck that we like to talk to you guys about. Actually, where do I have that? It's, I think actually it was off this page. Yeah, it was. There we go. So we had a whole bunch of sort of warning signs that we were probably getting near the end of some sort of risk window. US dollar index, classic sort of risk on, risk off proxy. I do believe a really nasty trap was laid there through the Fed announcement. Very typical. And now, of course, anybody who was panicking, FOMOing, shorting US dollar, buying euros kind of thing into that, they're all trapped. These are, you can see that those tails there, they're totally trapped there now. And it's the market's job now to punish them as hard as possible. You can also think of this too as classic, when you hear people in the public ridiculing long-term sort of institutional characters in the investing world. Hey, buying stocks right now, this is easy making money, no problem. That's a potion for disaster. So interesting how commentary with the public on social media and stuff. A lot of, sort of more advanced traders are like, yep, man, that was ridiculous, how cliche that was. If I was thinking about taking positions now, I'd have to simply draw my reload zone tool. And I don't know where the rest of this rally can take us. You can see this wick up here. There's probably a bunch of trapped bulls in here that would like to get released. And, of course, there's a cheeky little gap right there. So my hunch is we're probably going to exhaust ourselves somewhere up against this level in the short term. And probably if we do things like fibs going from this low back up to like this high. Oh, gee whiz, what a coincidence. There's the good old 38.2, our first stop target. Good old Ray Burchett's level. So, the irony of it all is actually this is extremely cliche. And I got to give a big shout out to Julian, son of a bitch. I don't know whether I'm really that bullish of gold in here. And especially if the US dollar starts selling off and stocks start selling off and we get into one of those scenarios where stock traders are under margin and they have to come up with capital. So we have an old expression in the market. If you can't sell what you want to sell, you sell what you can sell. So if they have to start maybe looking at their gold and their gold stocks to meet those margin requirements, you could get sort of follow through selling there. But what I was really impressed with was Julian was hunting longs in the gold, which isn't a terrible idea against that 16.6.2 level against the US dollar. But he was doing it in euros. So interestingly enough, and I think I don't know whether I have that chart on here, but I was watching the euro versus gold, and actually that trade's working, even though euro versus US dollar is not really doing a hell of a lot. So congratulations to Julian, and he caught that euro dump, and he's getting paid. Probably also, too, another commentary, risk on, risk off. As I had said, we started the day with stocks all sort of jumping up on the open, what I would consider dead cat bounce. But you can see actually now stocks are even now painting lower. These are the futures, so probably a little different price than retail. So not a hell of a lot of follow through, and frankly speaking, it's Friday. Do we really want to head into the weekend and be at long a hell of a lot of stock heading into the next 2 or 3 days of uncertainty? Coronavirus, new infections, social unrest. I was actually pretty disappointed to hear even local politicians here in Vancouver actually start to wade in and now start to, and the thing that really bothers me is they're starting to use some of these aphorisms to score political points right now, which really don't like. But that's politics for you. What do you expect? Having said that, is this kind of an environment to be happy-go-lucky big risk takers right now? It doesn't surprise me on that rally. Probably a lot of people were like, just get me the hell out of here. I don't want to be in long stock heading into the weekend. I don't think we saw a hell of a lot of reaction out of the oil market either. Remember we had said recently that we actually now do actually have double top fails starting to work. Interesting how we're basically dojiing out right at these old resistance levels that I kind of thought were going to be our previous ceiling. So you can see now this is almost a scenario where what once was resistance now actually could potentially turn into support. And if the market does start sliding and accepting below all these horizontal support and resistance level, it'll actually turn back into resistance. So interesting battle going on in the oil pits. And then, of course, Fed basically says, we're not raising rates for quite a while. We don't expect a hell of a lot of economic growth. Can you really justify like a rising bull market in energy? Usually that's like rising demand, all that kind of talk. I don't see it. Obviously, we'll be watching. I do believe a certain degree part of this rally was that hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. Actually, I don't think it ever got to hurricane status. I think it like topped out a tropical storm. So the fact that it didn't turn into a hurricane and the Gulf, drilling equipment wasn't really affected. Maybe that's one reason why the oil market's starting to calm back down again here. But, risk on, risk off, it sure feels to me like not only from stocks, crude oil, US dollar index, probably to a certain degree the euro, but we're getting big sort of risk off kind of bets. And, of course, our Russell 2000 versus the Dow study. You could argue now that this is emmed, probably all those people that are in the speculative space probably ought to just cool their jets. And, at best, I hope we don't have to do something like this where we just rally right back up to resistance lines and then try to break out again. I would prefer that we actually put in some half-decent structural floors here. Give me a half-decent W here, please. So as long as this looks like an M, obviously my enthusiasm to go buy a whole bunch of speculative junior stock is tempered. Risk off, as I said, the gold market catching a nice bid versus euros versus US dollars just can't get out of its own way now that the US dollar index is rallying in earnest. Conversation really here hasn't changed a lot. Still think these gaps need to be filled in. People were saying that there aren't gaps on there. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. But anyway, point of the matter here is I just don't see any reason why this open price action can't be filled in. I suppose if we drill down to a lower time frame, we could probably see, I guess you might say like inverted head and shoulders could support a move higher. If we start amming out here, then that's probably problematic, and we'll probably have to dip back down against these lows. And as we had said before, versus the US dollar, 1666.2 is definitely the level that is supporting the market. If that's given, then I think we're heading lower. I never really got a clean breakout here through the 25 level on this. So, what I actually thought was interesting, again, if the stock market starts to go into meltdown mode, did notice that things like the gold and silver stocks themselves looking very, very heavy. There's Julian's gold versus euro trade. Congrats. Nice job. Silver, is that a big head and shoulders? Maybe. There's the gold sort of stalling out against the top end of its range. But where's that? Yeah, this is probably what has me most concerned in this space right here is this. So this head and shoulders pattern actually has not been sort of invalidated. We rallied right back up to the shorter here and then failed again. And like I said, if the stock market starts puking out into the close and then Monday things are looking ugly, geez, that's an ugly looking chart here. So again, it's awfully tough for me to get too bullish of the metals here. So risk on, risk off. Gives me a pretty good idea, sort of what I'm thinking here going forward. Bonds did actually rally back up into that gap that we did they actually make it? No, they didn't make it into the gap. They basically rallied right up to the gap. My hunch, of course, is if stock market craps out, then that gap has to be filled in. Ironically enough, probably those people that are short inclined, you can start drawing things like reload zones here. So where should we expect if this is a bear? Oh, gee whiz, what a coincidence. Good old mountain man stopped the rally there. But believe it or not, actually, if you're like, hey, Brian, I really like this bearish bot. I really like this AB equals CD. I like the idea of interest rates having to head higher. This would definitely be your shorting window I would really focus in on. So, interesting how they're down on the day. Down. So even the temperament to buy bonds and gold right now is really tempered. It's almost like people are running into the US dollar and nothing else. Just get me out of everything. I don't care. I don't want to be in anything. Just scary. I thought it was kind of cute. We had a stock here recently. Like I said, not too excited about going and chasing new buys here. But ones that we did buy recently, and I bought off of this little bottom here. I was actually quite pleased to see that they're trying to take him higher in this crappy market. So there's a little bit of a bright spot. And, of course, if I can get a nice close above this, 90, 97, and call it $1. This thing could very easily, and I see a lot of these pharma names are doing this. I think I had showed you recently, we had one that just went absolutely ballistic, CLDX, and we're all... those people that are still long, they're obviously super happy, and those that are short, or that never took the trade, are kicking themselves, myself included. But actually, it looks like it's finally calmed down. It's not on the leaderboard anymore, but wow, that thing went absolutely nuts. But thought this was really interesting. We're getting the website, like I've shown you off the dashboard. We're getting it a little bit. We're making progress. Things are moving along. And I was really impressed that the system actually spat this up as a sell signal yesterday. And I have to say, man, that is one hell of a looking short idea. Beautiful Willy Stupid, nice RSI breakdowns, bearish divergences now in MACD. Showing some signs of failure out of OBV. 8s and 9s on those TD mark sequential indicator guys who like to follow those. I had a outside downside engulfing bar here, and of course hopefully you can all see the double top breakdown M failure. This is the kind of stuff I want to basically deliver these kind of ideas into your mailbox on a daily basis. Do you think that would be valuable information to get first thing in the morning? Here's a short idea. If the market's going to break lower, this is what we'd suggest you think about on the short side. I think, man, no offense, but I don't even think I need to sell this to the public. Stuart's going to make me one very wealthy individual. Thank you very much, Stuart. Appreciate it. Totally awesome. Man, this is so cool. Super bullish, super excited for TRI going forward. Very excited. So, I'm not even thinking about buying any stocks, and I think I just showed you, actually, there's some pretty damn good looking short ideas out there. Look at stocks just broke to new lows. So, I don't see a hell of a lot of reason to be too bullish about anything right now, to be honest with you. Heading on over to crypto, same sort of message. We've got failure here. The one good part about crypto and Bitcoin, though, is I don't think that it's necessarily like that Tesco, which is a tractor supply company. It's a pure function of sort of the ag market and world demand for grains and all that kind of talk. V bottom, straight line off the top. They're probably carrying a shitload of debt. If the bond market craps out and all hell breaks loose, PE ratios, price to book, price to sales, all that kind of stuff goes absolutely haywire. But crypto doesn't really follow that beat. So as a result, actually, I personally believe that crypto may actually be able to be insulated from a lot of the broader market. Holy shit, the sky's falling. The only problem with crypto here, and again, because it's a commodity, I look at it as sort of cost of production kind of model. Is the average cost of production for Bitcoin $9,000? I don't think so. That seems a little high. So from a value perspective, a guy like me, I have to be thinking about, where can, I hate when I do this with the fibs, and I'll pick the fib as absolutely the last thing here. Drives you crazy. Where should I, as a technician, think about just where, if I wanted to be a buyer, where should I be buying? 50% rule sitting 71.39. I do remember when we went through all of these lows, we kept talking. In fact, Colin, on Fridays, Colin does a piece for us, and I really like it. He's a very crypto-oriented, and he was talking about how this was sort of his last big buy signal for Bitcoin. This nice little inverted empire. But I remember when we went through this, we kept talking about how, gee whiz, railroad track bottoms, solid bottoms, solid bottoms. So, if I wanted to sort of hunt for the awesome place to buy Bitcoin, that would, of course, be down in reload zones. I love the idea of being able to buy Bitcoin somewhere between about $5,000 and $6,000. I do believe that is around sort of general cost of production kind of models. And if we do get any horrendous dips, panic selling, the sky's falling, $2,000-$3,000 Bitcoin, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. But here at 10 G's, that's tough. Could the market work its way higher? Sure, market can do any old damn thing it wants. Do I think there's value here? Not really. Kind of like that TSCO, but different creature altogether. V bottom, straight off the top. So, straight off the bottom, V bottom. Full disclosure, I did go and buy some insurance. I just bought a couple put options just to make sure that our asses are covered. Cool part about crypto and Deribit is actually I can sell half of the option now at double my purchase price. Can't do that in the stock market. So that was kind of a special treat. So I sell half on double orders are working. I mean, you know how I work. It's the very same, rinse and repeat, day in, day out, same shit, just different pile. Very much along the lines of the stock market, if all hell breaks loose. I do believe crypto to a certain degree. If you can't sell what you want to sell, you sell what you can't sell, all that kind of talk. If we can get dips down into reload zones, I would love that, and I would just buy as much as I can. But right now, the message recently has been we're in bow tie land, right? And I still think we're in bow tie land. And I wouldn't be surprised if the weekend there's some screwery around here, but through the coming week or two, I wouldn't be surprised if bow ties persist. What's going to get me to sort of say that the bow tie has been gone and we've lost it? Well, I'd probably want to see failures of these lows down in here for me to really think that we're opening up the spigot. Right now, I wouldn't be surprised if this level right here is going to act as key support. So we'll probably see some action off of that, and you can see the trend line's going to support us. And then this is a tail, right? Wicks and tails like to be eaten. Maybe we have to dip in and eat the tail. Again, right along this trend line. But, what I actually see here is I see a big head and shoulders trying to form here. So that's actually what I'm thinking. And if this is a dump and we have to come back for head and shoulders, that really means we're sort of stuck in this range for the time being. Isn't that a wonderful chart? Let's see how much else I can do. Let's put a big happy face, and then we'll put a big that. And if we go here, then of course everybody knows what to think. Right? But that's not there yet. So for the time being, I think we're still in sort of, like I said, the bow tie. And this is just choppy as hell. And you know who's getting paid through all this, right? So just understand, until we resolve this range here, this is OKCoin, BitMEX, even CME for that matter, Bybit, all the people that fuck around with the kids, margin liquidations. That's their market right now, and the message has been the same really since about here. This is choppy as hell. So there's a fun message for you. It'd be interesting to see how this looks for the broiler chicken show on the weekend, but my hunch is probably not going to look a hell of a lot different. Juniors, my message now is, again, if the market's shitting its pants, I didn't really like the look of what I'm seeing on Ethereum here now. So we've rallied up into this wick, 78.6, original market structure top. We actually harmonically painted a really nasty, I think this is a crab if I'm not mistaken. And then we've gone and actually M'd out, and the key for the M is this low here, 225.60. So we got down to 225.20. Uh-oh, that's not good. So, and then of course if we change this to a line chart, what does that look like? Oh boy. Do we have situations where, just like I did on the other chart, is the market starting to smile at us? If it is, be careful. So, recently I'd been sort of talking about, hey, we got bullish setups working, things are rocking and rolling. I'm starting to see those bullish setups start to unwind. This is an inside bar. So interestingly enough, I think you could actually make a pretty clear conclusion here. If we inside bar here today, finish the candle like this, then we've got our bull-bear battle lines drawn. If we can tick up through the inside bar, then hey, we're still okay. If, however, we crap out and lose this low, then all hell could break loose here. This is all open air down here. So, there's your picture. Oh, boy, wonderful. Thanks, Brian. Terrible place for new trade ideas right now, in my opinion, on the long side. I don't mind those people hunting shorts, buying portfolio insurance here, and really probably until the end of June, and maybe the first week of July. I would be very, very careful here, everybody. Go slowly. Remember what your number one job as a trader is. We don't need to let a market state like this destroy us where we cannot come back and play the game again tomorrow. If that means that, hey, through all this nonsense, I'm just going to get into cash and just sit there and do nothing, okay. But don't take big bets right now, people. Please do not take big risks here. It's just not worth it. Okay, that's my public rant for your Friday. Get ready. We are back heading into the soup. Nice to see we have little names that are bucking the overall trend. And, of course, if these little ones do pop, be damn sure to pay yourself. And as for new long ideas, I'm just cooling my jets. All right, everybody. Have yourselves a great rest of your day. Got to make sure I don't cut myself off here. So, with all that said, the only left for Brian to say here is bye.